With us right now is Debbie Binder. She is the West Bloomfield Township Clerk, and they are also streaming us today on their Facebook page. So we want to say thank you to Debbie and her team over there for doing that as well. People are already voting. How's it going?
We have been really busy. We already have 52% of our registered voters have requested absentee ballots, and we already have the same number, 52% of those in, which means if you just look at the time right now, we have a 27% turnout right now. And if you look at what we anticipate is an 85% turnout of our registered voters, we're at a 32% turnout based on just the absentee ballots received so far. So we have been busy. We've been issuing about 250 ballots a day. We have had a huge increase in registered voters. So we have been, between registering voters, issuing and receiving absentee ballots, we have been in full gear, full throttle gear.
What was the percentage of the outcome in previous elections?
We have consistently been a 75% turnout in a presidential election. And historically, we've been about 50% in a gubernatorial. Well, our last gubernatorial in 18, we were up to 66% turnout. So we do know we're going to see an increase. We're forecasting somewhere between 80 and 90%, and we're really working with numbers to forecast of about 85% turnout. We do anticipate it's been steadily 75%, and we know we're going to see an increase.
Debbie Binder with us. She is the West Bloomfield Township Clerk, joining us on the Oakland County MegaCast. And Debbie, as you've said, your office has already been receiving an influx of returned absentee ballots from those that have registered and received those as requested. And with that, those are, and with your office issuing about 250 a day, as you said previously, there still is those issues in returning these ballots, particularly with the mail, but there are also drop boxes now, multiple places at West Bloomfield Town Hall where you can drop off those ballots. So let's start with the mail issues. What are some of those, because we've had those before, we had those definitely in the primaries, we've heard about them ad nauseum up until this point. What are some of the issues that people in West Bloomfield and maybe even in surrounding areas are currently having in terms of the mail in relation to their absentee ballots, and how can they best work around that to make sure that their voice is heard in this election?
Well, I'm going to begin and end with the same comment, and then I'll get into those questions. Be prepared and send your ballot, return your ballot early. That is the best way to prevent any kind of a problem. What we saw in August were delays in mail, where mail was taking about 10 to 13 days. I know you and I talked about that extensively. This time things were moving along pretty smoothly until about 2 days ago, where we did see a change. We had far fewer ballots than we would have expected returned for Tuesday and Wednesday. So it seems like today we have a normal amount coming in, and I'm hopeful that calls that were made to kind of see what was going on will inspire those ballots to continue being mailed properly. But we do want to encourage people, if they're able, return it to Town Hall. Use one of the drop boxes on either side of the building. We have one on the west side facing the library, one on the east side facing the police station. Utilize those. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're under camera surveillance, and they are checked multiple times a day, including on weekends. So that is your best way to return a ballot. But we also recognize that we have a large population that has to rely on the mail. That being our overseas and military voters, our snowbirds, our college students, and people in nursing homes who may or may not be able to get a ride to Town Hall. So the message to them is mail that ballot quickly and don't delay. You will see a reminder coming out on the October 21st beacon, a sticker on the front that reminds voters, don't delay, return your absentee ballot today. And that message is critical. Mailing your ballot early, one, helps us out just in terms of having things ready for Election Day, but it ensures that your ballot will be received by 8 p.m. on Election Day. And it also allows time for us to cure any issue with your ballot, like if you forgot to sign it, or there's a concern with the signature not matching, it gives us time to cure that. So I can't stress enough this election more than any. Make sure you allow time. Don't delay. Get your ballot on its way back to Town Hall as soon as you can.
And with that, what are some of the issues that you're seeing with some of the people returning them early?
Okay, so what we always have is people forget to sign their absentee ballot. Now, when they fill out an application, we ask for their phone number and their email. Some people are hesitant to give it because of all of those contacts they're getting from third-party organizations. and that we have to provide based on Freedom of Information Act. But it's good to know that your phone number and your email are exempt from Freedom of Information Act information. We're not sharing that information with third-party organizations. So you are safe to give it. What it allows us to do is, in the event that your signature doesn't match what we have on file, or you forgot to sign it, we can contact you quickly using your email or your cell phone number. If you don't put that, we will send a letter by registered mail, but the closer it gets to the election day, the more challenging that is to cure, because we can't get a letter to you in time. That information is helpful. We make every attempt possible to contact a voter where there's a concern that the signature doesn't match or that their ballot wasn't signed. Now, when we talk about a signature matching, because there has been quite a bit of concern about that, people think we're matching it to their signature when they were 18 and they signed their voter registration form. That's not what we're matching it to. Typically, it's your driver's license or your photo ID, although we do have what we call a MasterCard file that has signatures back previous to that. So we make every attempt to match it to a signature we have on file, and when we contact a voter where the signature doesn't match, we do discuss the options to make sure that they have an opportunity to cure that if their signature has changed over time. We have two populations that are most affected by that. Our 18 to 25-year-olds are developing a professional signature. Their signature may change. And then our elderly are people who've developed a tremor or some kind of a physical impairment that changes their signature. And we do have processes in place for that. So the best thing to do is call your clerk's office, because we will talk you through the opportunities to cure. But again, I go back to return your ballot early. So if there is a problem, we have time to reach you and you have time to cure the problem.
Clerk Binder, I was on the Civic Center campus at Town Hall yesterday and noticed as they're coming in toward Town Hall, there's a large sign out there that mentions additional hours at the clerk's office for election-related issues and questions. Can you go into some of the details about those extra hours that are being provided to voters in West Bloomfield, where they can come to the clerk's office or call the clerk's office and get their questions answered? Because I know people who are voting by absentee ballot in West Bloomfield and other municipalities. It can be confusing for some people, and some people do need to have a lot of questions to get answered so that they can make sure that they are sending their ballots back prudently and their votes will be counted without having to have additional contact in order to confirm them.
Our goal is to make it as easy for people to have access to the ballot as legally permissible. So in addition, we want to make it as easy for people to get their ballot returned early. So we have expanded our hours. We are normally open daily from 8 to 4:30. That's every day. You can come in during those times, Monday through Friday, to vote by absentee ballot. But we have expanded it to this Saturday, October 17th, and the following Saturday, October 24th, from 9 to noon. We will be open to the public to come in and vote by absentee ballot, as well as October 31st, which is the Saturday just preceding the election. We will be open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for absentee voting, for people to come in, ask questions, and get their questions answered. They can spoil a ballot. They can request an absentee ballot. Want to make it as easy as possible for them to do so. The one thing I will say is people can request an absentee ballot up to 4 p.m. on the Monday before the election on November 2nd. But if you do come in on Monday between 8 and 4, you will have to vote that ballot here at Town Hall. You cannot take a ballot from Town Hall on that Monday, but you can come in on Saturday, request that absentee ballot, and take it with you.
How are you looking as far as poll workers goes? Do you have enough? You still need more? And what's the very last date someone can volunteer?
Okay, well, overall, we're in good shape, in large part due to our community partners like yourself and the fact that we put an ad in the Beacon and we've been working our social media. That since August, when we were challenged with we were losing people during a COVID environment as quickly as we could recruit them. So we made the time after the primary. Our primary focus was to recruit. We are up 276 election workers since then. We have increased our list. So we are in good shape. However, we will be having a second shift this time, which will start at 10 p.m. and go it's scheduled till 8 in the morning, but I believe we'll be done sometime between 3 and 5 in the morning. So if you're a person that doesn't need a lot of sleep, or just somebody who's excited by being involved in the process, I would get in touch with us at Town Hall, because we'll be taking names constantly. We are in pretty good shape, but people call off and things change, and we will always need to have a list of backup in the event that something does change. So there's no deadline. even if you can't work this election, it's still worth applying if it's something that interests you, because over the next few years, we've needed to expand that database so that we have sufficient workers. We get our people back year after year. I always tell you it's a long day and everyone complains, but they all come back. But after 10 years or so of service, we do tend to see some retirements, and we get about 15 to 20 retirements a year. So we are looking to expand that list to make up for who we lose to retirement and who may not be able to work, or if their comfort level this year isn't, if they're not comfortable working COVID. So it's never too late to contact us to apply. We welcome anybody who wants to get involved in the process, and I can guarantee you that almost everyone that does get involved finds it extremely rewarding.
So when it comes to election day, because there are going to be so many absentee or mail-in ballots, how long do you think it's going to take to count all of them? Will it be the next day before you're finished, or do you think you're going to be able to get it all done pretty much that day?
I wish I could tell you I thought we would be quick. I don't believe West Bloomfield will be an early reporter on election day. Part of that is sheer volume. We're anticipating between 32 and 38,000 absentee ballots. But the other unique aspect to West Bloomfield is we have all 25 precincts have a 3-page, 2-sheet ballot, which means instead of putting 32 to 38,000 ballots through the machine, we're going 64 to 74,000 ballots through there. What would be 32 to 36,000 ballots through that machine. So it's going to double the labor involved in tabulating those absentee ballots. So I don't think we will be an early reporter. My hope is that we're done between 3 and 5 in the morning and hopefully reporting soon after that. The best way to get the results as they're coming in is to follow the county's website and refresh it. Those results are transmitted by a secure cellular modem as soon as that machine is done tabulating and the polls are closed. So that is the quickest way to get the results, watching the county's website and watching the results come in. But I think there is an unknown. We have never had a 3-page, 2-sheet ballot. That will definitely add to the time and the volume turning out for this election. Highest number we've ever processed of absentee ballots is 16,783 absentee ballots. We're looking at a minimum of 30 to 32,000 absentee voters, and then again 2 pages per voter. It's going to be a longer night. My hope is by Wednesday night we'll have results. The important message is if it takes time, it's not because you have to worry that something fraudulent's going on. It's important to know that we're taking the time to make sure we're doing it correctly and to make sure that every ballot is counted. And with that sheer volume, it is going to take time. So don't, exercise patience. We know people want the results quickly. We want the results as quickly as possible. It's important to remember that the election specialist and my staff and me aren't going to be sleeping until they're counted. So if it goes 36 hours, we're up for a marathon time. And if it goes 72, we're really exhausted. So there are human beings behind an absent voter counting board, and our goal is to get those ballots counted as quickly as possible too, so that you get your results and we are able to get some rest from the weeks that we've been having. But there is the reality of the volume and having that 2-page ballot or 2-sheet ballot.
West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder with us, joining us on the show today. The Clerk's office, also our Facebook partner on today's program, broadcasting live via Facebook Live. Debbie, just another minute with you before we have to say goodbye for today. Is there any other information that would be important for our audience to know, or anything else that you would like to mention on today's interview?
Okay, I'm going to just reiterate again, return that ballot early. You don't need postage this year. The state has actually paid the postage, so you will see an indicia on there that says postage not necessary as long as it's mailed within the United States. So you don't need to worry about postage. We're still getting plenty back with postage because people want to make sure it gets returned, but you don't need it. It will go to our permit. Also, one important thing to know is you cannot return a ballot for somebody else, or you cannot go around and get ballots. The clerk's office also, there was a little question this week of whether somebody from the clerk's office was going door to door asking people for their ballots. That is not something we practice. So if somebody comes to your door requesting to take your ballot back to town hall, it is not a representative of the clerk's office. And you need to know that the only people that can be in possession of your ballot are the voter, a mail carrier, an election official, or a member of the voter's household, or their immediate family who has requested that they return the ballot. So it's really important to know that you can't just get your neighbor's ballot and bring it back for them. They're important. This is not something that's unique to West Bloomfield. again, in West Bloomfield, we don't create election law. We adhere to state and federal election law, and all of those requirements are what is stated by election law.
Debbie, always great having you on the show. We appreciate your time. Try to get some sleep before the election because it's going to be a long day for you.